The year is 2024. Global tensions are reaching a fever pitch with protests erupting in major cities, military drills becoming more frequent, and news outlets constantly reporting on escalating conflicts around the world. Against this backdrop of uncertainty, a chilling report lands on the desk of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. The document, thick with intelligence data and analysis, is marked with the highest level of urgency. Delivered by the Mossad, Israel's elite intelligence agency, it paints a grim picture of the future, the very real possibility of a third world war. The agency's analysts have been working around the clock, piecing together information from various sources to create this alarming forecast. The report details a world on the brink, where simmering conflicts threaten to boil over into global conflagration. It highlights several hotspots around the globe, each with the potential to trigger a chain reaction of violence and chaos. At the heart of this potential maelstrom lies the volatile Middle East, a region already riven by sectarian violence and geopolitical rivalries. The report underscores the fragility of the current peace and the ease with which it could be shattered. The Mossad's assessment is stark. Their intelligence points to a convergence of factors that could lead to an unprecedented escalation of hostilities. The agency warns that the current trajectory of global events is leading inexorably towards a major conflict. The signs are all there, from the buildup of military forces to the increasingly aggressive rhetoric of world leaders. With superpowers vying for influence and regional players pursuing their own agendas, the risk of miscalculation or unintended escalation is higher than ever before. The delicate balance of power is teetering on the edge. The report is a stark reminder that in our interconnected world, local conflicts have the potential to ignite global infernos. A single spark in one region could set off a devastating chain reaction. It is a call to action, urging world leaders to exercise restraint, pursue dialogue, and seek common ground in the face of unprecedented danger. The report emphasizes the need for diplomacy and cooperation to avert disaster. The report's findings are particularly concerning for Israel. The nation is situated in one of the most volatile regions of the world, surrounded by hostile actors and facing existential threats on multiple fronts. Surrounded by hostile actors and facing existential threats, the Jewish state has long been accustomed to living on a knife edge. However, the current situation is unlike anything seen before. The Mossad's assessment suggests that the current situation is particularly perilous. The agency's analysts have identified several flashpoints that could quickly escalate into a full-blown war. With the potential for a global conflagration looming, Israel's very survival could be at stake. The stakes have never been higher, and the margin for error is razor-thin. The report's warning is clear: the stakes have never been higher, and the time for complacency is long gone. Every second counts as the world teeters on the brink of catastrophe. The report sends shockwaves through the Israeli government. Ministers and advisors scramble to formulate a response, aware that their decisions could have far-reaching consequences. Netanyahu, known for his hawkish stance on security matters, is forced to confront the terrifying possibility that his nation could be caught in the crossfire of a global conflict. The weight of the situation is palpable. The implications are staggering. The world stands at a precipice, and the actions taken in the coming days and weeks will determine the course of history. The Mossad report outlines a clear and present danger, but it also offers a comprehensive roadmap for survival, detailing both immediate and long-term strategies. The agency recommends a two-pronged approach, strengthening Israel's military and intelligence capabilities while simultaneously pursuing diplomatic channels to de-escalate regional tensions. This dual strategy aims to ensure that Israel remains secure and stable. This delicate balancing act is nothing new for Israel, a nation that has always had to navigate complex geopolitical landscapes, but the stakes have never been higher. The current geopolitical climate is fraught with potential flashpoints that could ignite at any moment. Central to this strategy is the need for Israel to avoid entanglement in a potential conflict between the United States and Iran. While Israel views Iran's nuclear ambitions as an existential threat, a threat that could alter the balance of power in the region, the Mossad cautions against any preemptive military action that could drag the region into a wider war. Such actions could have devastating consequences not just for Israel but for the entire Middle East. Instead, the agency advocates for a more nuanced approach, one that involves a combination of tactics, leveraging diplomacy, covert operations, and strategic alliances to contain Iran's influence without triggering a catastrophic conflict. This multifaceted strategy aims to neutralize threats before they escalate. This strategy of restraint requires a delicate touch, a careful balance of power and diplomacy. Israel must walk a tightrope between deterring its enemies and avoiding provocations that could escalate into full-blown war. Every decision must be weighed carefully to avoid unintended consequences. It's a high-stakes game of chess, where every move carries the potential for unintended consequences. The wrong move could lead to a chain reaction of events that are difficult to control. The success of this strategy hinges on several key factors, each of which is crucial for maintaining Israel's security. First, Israel must maintain its qualitative military edge in the region. This means staying ahead in terms of technology and capabilities. This requires continued investment in cutting-edge weaponry, cyber capabilities, and intelligence gathering. These investments are essential for staying ahead of potential threats. Second, Israel must nurture its strategic alliances, particularly with the United States. These alliances provide critical support and resources. While the relationship between the two countries has faced its share of challenges in recent years, it remains a cornerstone of Israel's security strategy. The bond remains strong, underpinned by shared security interests and mutual goals. This partnership is vital for both nations as they navigate an increasingly complex world. The Mossad's dire warning comes at a pivotal moment in Israeli politics. Benjamin Netanyahu, Israel's longest-serving prime minister, is facing mounting domestic pressure. His grip on power, once seemingly unassailable, has weakened in recent years, and the specter of corruption allegations continues to haunt him. The Mossad report adds another layer of complexity to an already precarious political landscape. Netanyahu's relationship with the Mossad is complex and often fraught. He is known for his hands-on approach to security matters and his willingness to authorize daring operations. However, this approach has also led to friction with some within the intelligence community who worry about the potential for recklessness and unintended consequences. A pivotal figure in this dynamic is Yossi Cohen, the former director of the Mossad. Cohen, a close confidant of Netanyahu, is widely respected within the intelligence community for his strategic acumen and operational experience. He is seen as a voice of reason and a moderating influence on the often impulsive prime minister. Cohen's tenure at the helm of the Mossad was marked by a series of daring operations against Iran, including the theft of the country's nuclear archive and the assassination of key scientists. However, Cohen is also known for his belief in the importance of diplomacy and his understanding of the limitations of military force. Adding to the volatility of the situation is the escalating tension on Israel's northern border with Lebanon. This region has long been a flashpoint, but recent developments have made the situation even more precarious. Hezbollah, the Iranian-backed Shiite militia, has significantly increased its military capabilities in recent years. Their training programs have become more sophisticated, and their military parades showcase a growing confidence. The group now possesses an estimated arsenal of over 100,000 rockets and missiles, many of which are capable of striking deep inside Israeli territory. This arsenal includes advanced precision-guided munitions, which pose a significant threat to critical infrastructure and civilian areas. The Mossad report warns of the growing risk of a miscalculation or an unintended escalation on the Lebanese border. Intelligence analysts are particularly concerned about the potential for small skirmishes to spiral out of control. Hezbollah, emboldened by its growing arsenal and its close ties to Iran, may be tempted to test Israel's resolve. The support from Iran includes not just weapons, but also strategic guidance and training. At the same time, Israel, facing an increasingly potent threat, may feel compelled to take preemptive action to degrade Hezbollah's capabilities. Military strategists are constantly evaluating the balance between deterrence and provocation. This delicate situation requires a calibrated approach. Diplomats and military leaders must work in tandem to ensure that actions taken are measured and do not inadvertently escalate tensions. Israel must maintain a credible deterrent posture, making it clear to Hezbollah that any attack will be met with a swift and overwhelming response. This includes regular military drills and the activation of advanced defense systems. However, Israel must also avoid any actions that could be perceived as provocative and could inadvertently trigger a conflict. The balance between showing strength and exercising restraint is a delicate one. Adding another layer of complexity to the situation are the calls for a ceasefire from within Israel itself. These calls reflect a growing weariness of perpetual conflict and a desire for a peaceful resolution. These calls come from a diverse range of voices including former military officials, politicians, and peace activists. They argue that the human and economic costs of another war would be devastating. They argue that the risks of a new conflict with Hezbollah are simply too great and that all avenues for a diplomatic solution must be exhausted. The emphasis is on dialogue and negotiation, seeking a long-term solution that ensures stability and peace for both nations. The weight of the Mossad's report falls heavily on the shoulders of Defense Minister Benny Gantz. A former chief of general staff of the Israel Defense Forces, Gantz is no stranger to the complexities of Middle Eastern security. He brings to the table a deep understanding of military strategy and a sober assessment of the risks involved in any potential conflict. Gantz's approach to the situation is characterized by a combination of pragmatism and resolve. He recognizes the very real threats facing Israel but also understands the importance of exhausting all diplomatic options before resorting to military force. He is a firm believer in the need for Israel to maintain its qualitative military edge, but also recognizes the limitations of military power in resolving complex geopolitical challenges. Gantz's close alignment with military intelligence distinguishes him from some of his more hawkish counterparts. He is known for his meticulous approach to decision-making, relying heavily on data analysis and the assessments of intelligence professionals. This approach is particularly crucial in the current climate, where the risks of miscalculation are higher than ever. Gantz's challenge is to strike a delicate balance between deterrence and restraint. He must convince Israel's adversaries that any attack will be met with an overwhelming response, while simultaneously avoiding actions that could be perceived as provocative and lead to an unintended escalation.